Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Narayanam Gurum Vande Sharanyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gauramanovistam Purnam Radhadasyam Pradayakam Nirupandugacharya Varyam Burupamanjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Bandhavam Yugacharya Narayanam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Twise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismirahasara Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindai Tulasi Devyai Priyai Keshava Sacha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramu, Ramu Ramu, Hare Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramardatama Shri Guru Pada Padma, Nitarila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada, Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya, Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev. And to my most worshipable Shikshan Sannyasa Guru Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj. And to all Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So continue reading from Sri Gopi-gita, today beginning of the verse 9. Tavakatam ritam utapta jivanam kavi biriditam kalmasapaham Shravana Mangalam Sri Madatatam Bhuvigrinanti ye Bhuri Dhajana. Nectarian discussions about you are the life and soul of those who are tormented by separation from you, and greatly learned personalities such as Brahma, Shiva, and the four Kumaras sing of them. Those narrations vanquish the distress of past sins, prarabdha and aprarabdha. Immediately upon being heard, they bestow the highest auspiciousness, and especially the wealth of prema. The nectar of your narrations is expanded by those who glorify your pastimes, and therefore such narrators are truly the most generous benefactors in the world. So this is like maybe the most famous shloka in the Gopi-gita, although not the most important. It became famous because it glorifies Harikatha itself, Hari Kirtana, and but actually, as I have mentioned here, I think once or twice, most important verses of Gita of this Gopi-gita are about to come yet. Are about to come. This is not the most important one, because this is not speaking so deeply about the interactions between Krishna and gopis. This is just gopis glorifying Krishna's katha. But the verses which are speaking about the intimate relation between gopis and Krishna, these are the best verses of Gopi-gita. I think I have mentioned before. This is Krishna's sidelong glances, Krishna's smiling lotus face, and Krishna's intimate conversations with the gopis in the secret places. So the verses who are mentioning these points, they are actually the best of Gopi-gita. But let's see now Srila Gurudev's Bhava Prakashika Vritti, his commentary. In the previous verse, the gopis told Krishna, "We always remember your conversations with Srimati Radhika and us in the kunjas and other solitary places. When you called us with the melody of your flute, we came to you from our homes, leaving everything behind. At that time you told us, Swagatam vo mahabhaga priyam kim karavaniva. O most fortunate ladies, welcome. How can I please you?" When Krishna spoke these words, his face was grave. It seemed as though he were speaking the complete truth, revealing what was really on his mind without concealing anything. "Why have you come here?" he asked. "Have you come because of any mishap in your home? You are not even dressed properly. Is everything in order in your homes and in your hearts?" So now again, I emphasize a point which we read maybe 2 weeks ago, is when Srila Gurudev explained that we have to understand the mood in which the sentence is being spoken, right? And that only can reveal to us those who are Rasik Bhavuka Vaishnavas. So for example, this this sentence of Krishna, when he's welcoming the gopis, if you just read it through, like, "Oh, most fortunate ladies, welcome, how can I please you?" You don't know in a way he's speaking that. You have no idea. What is his tone in speaking that? And now Srila Gurudev is revealing to us. He's speaking that in a grave mood. He's not in a happy jumping in mood. He's not in a joking mood. He's not in like in a, any other mood. He's in this mood. So we are learning how this conversation is taking place properly by the tone, by the proper tone given by Krishna and gopis, right? So this is an important point here to note. So the gopis also remember Krishna telling Radhika, "Whether you act in a contrary manner or submissively, you are the life of my life. Sometimes you come to me, but upon seeing me, you turn and leave. Sometimes you become angry for no reason. At such times, I request you again and again to be pleased with me. But you do not listen and you disagree with whatever I say. At other times, you eagerly meet and perform loving pastimes with me. Still, whether you are contrary or submissive, you are my life and soul. Without you, I will die. You stand in a certain way and cast glances at me from the corner of your eyes, and those glances directly enter my heart like flower arrows." Pushpabanai. The gopis describe these conversations as charming to the mind. Everything about Krishna, his way of glancing, his every action, his flute, play, and so forth, is exceptionally sweet and attractive. Now in this verse, the gopis say, "Tava katam ritam." If you speak these delightful words directly to us, they are sweet than amrita, means the celestial nectar. But if in your absence we fear anyone else repeat the same words, then it is like mritu, death for us. Tava katha mritam. So here the difference of the word amritam, nectar, and mritam, which is death. A means not, means no death, means nectar, means giving life. And mritam only, this is only called death, come from mritu. First, we will explain the meaning of this verse according to the gopis with a submissive mood, Dakshina Bhav, who expresses themselves directly. This is Chandravali's group, right? They may speak the same words as the gopis with contrary mood, who expresses themselves indirectly, but the meaning of their words is completely different. And now the tone will also make difference, not only intention, but tone and also bhav. What is the bhav of this speaker? So, Shri Gurudev mentioning at first, going to explain from the submissive mood point of view. When Shri Krishna asks the gopis why they compare his katha to nectar, amrita, they reply, because when we look at the two other types of nectar, your katha is superior. There are three types of amrit or nectar. Now, very important to learn that. Very interesting. Although these three um, differ vastly in the results attained by drinking them, they are all referred to as amrit. One kind of amrit is found in Swarga, the heavenly planets. It is said that the demigods become free from death by drinking that ambrosia, but that is not true. They live for the period of only one manvantar, means 306,720,000 years. And after that, they must die. Still, that drink is called Amrit. The Amrit of Swarga can act as a medicine to cure disease, but it cannot console one who is unhappy. When Bali Maharaj captured the Nandana gardens of the heavenly planets, he drank Amrit, but still he was grief-stricken because he had left his wife, children, and kingdom for such a long time. Moreover, if a person drinks this Amrita of heaven, he becomes extremely lusty. After Indra and Chandra drank it, they went to Gautama Rishi's wife to satisfy their lusty desires and were then cursed by Gautama Rishi. Because that Amrita increases the desire to taste sense enjoyment. In this material world, it is actually a very lowly thing. So if you know that lila, not lila, but if you know that event when Lord Indra he went to chase behind Gautama's wife, Gautama's cursed him to have like all over his body the feminine organ. So it's a very like unfortunate condition of these demigods when they become intoxicated by these mundane desires. And this somaras, this is the name, this is somaras. This nectar, it increases even more. They're already lusty, and they drink that, they become even more lusty. This is just like alcohol for human beings. Same type of effect. They lose their common sense, they become very lusty, and they do many nonsense things. So moreover, the second type of Amrita is the nectar of liberation. This is called Mokshamrita. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6:11-25, Vitrasur prayed, Nanaka prishtam, na chaparamishtam, na sarvabhaumam, na rasadhipatyam, na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va samanja sattva virahaya kankshe. O my Lord, source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruvalok, the heavenly planets, or the planet where Lord Brahma resides, nor do I want to be the supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or the lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be master of the powers of mystic yoga, nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet. So the words Napunar Bhavan in the above mentioned verse mean cessation of repeated birth and death. In this connection, the revealed scriptures state that if someone attains moksha amrita, the nectar of liberation, then all the unfructified reactions to his material activities, aprarabdha karma, are finished. But he still has to suffer the reactions that are fructifying, means prarabdha karma. On the other hand, even the fructified reactions of one who hears Harikatha, the third type of nectar, are destroyed. One who deeply hears Harikatha does not have to do anything else to attain perfection. He does not even have to practice the other 8 limbs of bhakti. So this is very remarkable, very, very important to understand. So the 9 limbs of bhakti are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sivanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:5-23. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu. Remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respective worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with one's body, mind, and words. Shri Krishna devotee becomes eligible for Krishna to immediately enter his heart simply by hearing about him. So when we hear Krishna Katha from lotus lip of a pure devotee, automatically this nectar will come in our heart. Means Krishna will himself enter in our heart. The devotees become liberated from Krishna's deluding material potency known as Maya, and he is able to see Krishna personally. Drinking heavenly nectar does not decrease ignorance, rather it increases it. And the nectar of liberation gives no taste of service to Krishna. Consequently, in every respect, Harikatha is superior to the nectar of heaven and the nectar of liberation. The nectar of Harikatha is tapta jivanam, which means that it gives life to those who are suffering in many painful conditions. It gives life to those who are diseased and to those who are unhappy in this world in any way. Harikatha also gives life to anyone who is feeling separation from Sri Radha and Krishna, and it removes the pain of that separation in every way. The person who hears Harikatha becomes peaceful. Next line, Kavi Biriditam. Kavi generally means a poet or a great thinker, but here it refers to devotees. Because the nectar of Harikatha is far above the 2 other kinds of nectar, it is glorified, means iritam, by devotees like Lord Brahma, Shiva, Narad, Shukadeva Goswami, Dhruva Maharaj, and Prahlada Maharaj, who are always relishing this superior nectar. They say that it gives life. It is stated by Dhruva Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:9-10, Yani vritis tanubritam. If embodied souls hear Harikatha, they attain supreme happiness. This spiritual happiness is superior to the pleasure of thinking oneself, one in all respects with Brahma, the impersonal absolute. The pleasure of impersonalism, what we speak of the temporary happiness derived from the nectar of Swarga, is like a tiny atom of happiness in comparison to the joy resulting from hearing Harikatha. There is actually no comparison. Shri Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita that those who go to Swarga eventually return to this world. They may go there again and again, but they always return. Titam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam kshne pune mattalokam vishanti. Evam trai dharmam anuprapana gatagatam kama kama labante. Gita, Bhagavad Gita 9:21. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Thus, the delight sought in heaven cannot be compared to that of hearing Harikatha, which is able to destroy every type of material desire and ignorance. When we forget Krishna, Maya captures us and stimulates our material desires. Actually, Maya has two functions by which she accomplishes this. Her potency, known as Vikshapatmika, which generates a kind of material knowledge and throws the jiva into ignorance, and her potency, known as Avaranatmika, which covers the jiva's natural knowledge about his eternal relationship with Shri Krishna. And this is a good point. That's why uh, we say that we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna, right? When we come to this material world, our acharyas, they use this word forgotten. We have forgotten our relationship with Krishna. We became averse to Krishna. And many people, they question, asking, why is that we have forgotten something which we have never had? Actually, you did not forget about your like direct relationship with him, but about the relationship that your soul has naturally inclination to keep and have with him. So this is the main point, and this is due to the function of Maya, which covers the original knowledge, natural knowledge about our eternal relationship with Krishna. Not that we have already established this relationship, but this relationship is there as a natural inclination, as a natural tendency. Okay? So this is a very important thing to clarify. Because due to that, some people even use as an argument to say that jivas, they fell from Vaikuntha. Because they forgot their relationship with Krishna. No, they they have never had a personal relationship. But in this case, this word relationship is related to the potentiality, to the natural capacity of the jiva, natural tendency of the jiva to relate to Krishna. And doesn't mean that um, you have to have first one personal relationship with him directly, physically, to feel that you are his servant. Even though by distance, if you feel you are his servant, there is a relationship in that. And in this material world, when we remember that, when we access that, we start serving him here indirectly, not directly, but indirectly. And this is service, and this is also relationship. Okay? So this word relationship has to be understood in this way. Okay? So lust causes us to forget Krishna, and that is why it is called ignorance. Only Harikatha has the potency to uproot this lust. There's a famous verse, it's called Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Koroyudai. This Krishna Prema, it is Nitya Siddha, it is eternally perfected in the heart of the jiva, and it will be awakened by Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta, means by hearing Harikatha. This this chitta means this consciousness, means the heart of the jiva, it will become totally purified. And by that, what will happen? this natural tendency, natural identity can be revealed and manifested. There is another verse, very nice, which says, Tasmin maham mukaritama dubit charitra, piyusha shesha sharita paritrasharvanti, taye pibante vitrishu nripagada karnes, tanais prishante asaha asana tridibhoya shoka moha. When a pure devotee is speaking Harikatha, it's just like nectar, a river of nectar coming out, flowing from his mouth. And those who drink this nectar, they will lose hunger, thirst, lamentation, fear, all types of bodily conceptions of life. They will be completely what? Absorbed in that Harikatha. Just like Parikshit Maharaj. Although he made a vow to stop eating and drinking before start hearing Harikatha, that was his decision. But when he started hearing Harikatha, he forgot about everything. Because even if you make a vow of not eating and drinking, still you can feel hunger and thirst, right? You're just avoiding that. You're just avoid eating and drinking. But what happened? Parikshit Maharaj, he forgot about his body, about everything, and he was so absorbed in that katha. Because this is the real nectar that we all need to drink. So then only Harikatha has the potency to uproot this lust. This is very, very important. So one time I remember Srila Gurudev, he mentions that if you have so much taste for chanting Harinam, and you may chant 1 lakh every day, sometimes more, but you have no taste for hearing Harikatha, then very soon that taste for Harinam will go away. But if you have no taste for Harinam, but you have taste for Harikatha, then very soon taste for Harinam will come and you become perfected. Because Harikatha gives strength by itself, it is the base. But Harinam by itself cannot give you strength for that. So chanting means chanting after hearing. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. First hearing. Hearing will be the strength for us to chant, not the opposite. So if you are just chanting but not hearing Harikatha, and I mean to say, Harikatha is spoken by pure devotees, either directly or from his books or recording, which is like the same. So in this way, you can become eligible for chanting. Otherwise not. And even if you are chanting 1 lakh every day and you have no taste for katha, you won't be getting, much progress. So let us continue here. Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes seem to have given up sensual desires, but this is only a show, for the nectar of liberation cannot uproot the desire for material enjoyment. There are 2 kinds of monists, means Advaitavadis or impersonalists. In one category are the Mayavadis who follow Shankaracharya and who, like Ravan and similar demons, are offenders to the Supreme Lord. In the second category are personalities like Sanaka Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar, and Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who initially were Brahmavadis, or Nirgunyavadis, aspiring for Nirguna Krishna, means Brahma, impersonal Krishna. They were not offenders. They were just like impersonalists, devotees of Krishna, but devotees of the impersonal aspect. Okay, so we should be able to means differentiate between Mayavadis and impersonalists. Okay, Mayavadis are impersonalists, but not impersonalists are necessarily Mayavadis. Okay, so the Brahmavadis accept the existence of God, Brahma, but they have no information about the sweet qualities of his superior personal feature, and that is why they worship him without qualities. This is not offensive, because as soon as they hear about the extraordinary qualities of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, they immediately become his devotees and give up their worship of his impersonal feature. It is explained in the Vedas that Brahmavadis or Nirgunyavadis want to become one with the Supreme, but they do not try to negate and deny the existence of his personal feature, as do Shankaracharya and his followers. If they meet a devotee, they easily take up the process of bhakti. As stated earlier, when Harikatha actually enters a person's ear, it is not necessary for him to perform any other limb of bhakti. He does not even have to chant and remember the holy names of the Lord, engage in worship, or offer him stavas and stutis. Harikatha at once takes him to Shri Krishna, as stated in the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, second verse. Dharma prajuhita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedam vatstavam atra vastu shivadam tapa trayonamulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Parerishwara Sadoridhi Avarudhyate Trakritivir Shushrushubhistat Kshanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavat Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. Means Nirmat Saranam. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. So by hearing Bhagavatam, automatically Krishna is established in the heart. This verse explains that if a person hears Harikatha with faith, that Harikatha makes such impressions in his heart that Shri Krishna personally manifests and remains there forever. This makes a place at once, without delay, means tat kshanat, as stated in many other places in the scriptures. Harikatha gives prema. Srila Gurudev, he puts a footnote here about tat kshanat, means immediately. He says, what is the deeper meaning of this? Suppose a person who is full of anarthas begins to hear the Harikatha of Srimad Bhagavatam. He has been in this world for a limited time, and he is now on the path to perfection. In comparison to a limited time, if in a year or 2 years or 2 births he becomes purified, that may be considered tat kshanat, immediate. Okay, so this is a very, very important point. When Shastra says it gives liberation at once, it gives prema at once, it cleans the anarthas at once, it destroys the sins at once. So this at once, it has to be understood, it is very fast, but not like literally at this second. Okay, but if you compare that with the whole eternity of births that you could take in this world, that means immediate. So you have always to project your mind to the eternity and see that you can be endlessly in this material world. So if you stay or like 2 more births or 1 birth, this is definitely immediate, right? So it's from that perspective. So continue this footnote here. The example is also given that when a fan is unplugged, it continues to run for a while before it stops. If one stops pedaling a cycle, the pedals will continue to move for a short time. The driver of a train puts on the brakes, and yet the train continues to go for 2 miles, 3 miles, or 4 miles. Still, it is considered to have stopped. In this way, there is no fault in using the word tat kshanat. This Srila Gurudev explained in Australia, February 2002. This is a very also good example about the fan. Many people, they also complain, saying, oh, I have been practicing since long. I don't see any, improvement so far. Still many, bad things coming, this and that, this and that. Because if you have taken Diksha properly, if you have performed all the rituals, if you're practicing, it means you have unplugged yourself from the current of Maya. But there is like a, natural movement. Physics explains that. So it will take some time to get things, settled. So we must be patient. It will come. We shouldn't doubt this process at all. This process is completely guaranteed. But you have to be patient. There is no miracle. Or even if there is miracle, it's not so often, right? And why it should happen with us. No? So we should always think that we are not eligible for miracles. We have to follow the proper process and the proper pace of the progress. So continue reading from the purport. One might argue that a conditioned soul may have a taste for Harikatha at a time of actually hearing it. But then, when he is not hearing, Maya attracts him again. In this connection, the above mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam verse states, Kritivi Shushrubi, meaning those who have developed intense eagerness to hear. Regular hearing creates Shraddha, faith, followed by Anarthanivritti, means freedom from unwanted habits and thoughts. And then Nishtha, steadiness, Ruchi, taste, Ashakti, attachment to Krishna, Bhava, spiritual emotions, and Prema, pure love. Within a seed is the potential for a tree. The seed sprouts and grows 2 leaves, then 4 leaves, then twigs and branches, then flowers, and finally fruit. This takes some time. Similarly, a soul may have been wandering in the material world for countless lifetimes. Yet, Harikatha is so powerful that it may even give the result of prema in just one lifetime. This is what it is meant by immediately. Our acharyas, they also spoke like that. Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, they told you can practice in such a way that in this life you can go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Is it possible? Oh my God, it's almost 4 o'clock, huh? Oof, time is flying so much. Today I didn't even not feel like. So let us continue this part then. After hearing Harikatha for only 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj entered Shri Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. He was not killed by the snake bird that bite him, as some say. Those who were present at the time could not see that his soul had actually left his body before the snake bird bit him. Could see, no? Because here is written could not, but actually it's could. Now, those who were present at the time could see that his soul had actually left his body before the snake bird bite him, right? Parikshit Maharaj was more advanced than Dhruva Maharaj, Ajamil, and even Narada Rishi. The word Kalma Shapaham in this Gopi-gita verse means that Harikatha drives away all sinful reactions. The word Srimad Atatam means that your katha is distributed throughout the world by those who speak it. And the phrase Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhuri Dajana implies that those who hear Harikatha will always be indebted to the speaker, no matter how much they give in appreciation. That is why such speakers are called Burida. Buri means in extreme, and Da means those who give. We are indebted to those who give Harikatha because their gift is so great that whatever we offer in return will not be sufficient. Hmm. So, regarding this point, I would like to mention something about the Srimad Atatam. These two words means Srimad Atatam means uh, this Shri. Shri means this beauty, this opulence. This means the glories of this kata is always expanding. Okay, always expanding. It has no limits for that. In the same way that Krishna, he is ever fresh, ever new, always more beautiful, always better, although he's perfect. In the same way, kata is like that. So some people say that sometimes that uh, my Gurudev spoke everything. After him, no one can speak nothing new. He has, like summoned the whole, subject of Harikatha. No one is more rasik than him. No more is more erudite than him. No one can disclose more intimate things than him. This is very complicated to say because this Harikatha is atatam, is ever expanding. So how can someone be able to speak everything? So no matter how much you appreciate your guru or any Vaishnava, but if you claim that, you are actually decreasing the glories of Harikatha itself. You are not increasing the glories of your Gurudev. You are decreasing the glories of Harikatha itself. Because this Harikatha is Srimad Atatam. So this is the way. So always have faith that Katha is unlimited and always new things may come out. Always. Some acharyas, they may speak a lot, they may reveal so much, but to say that they reveal everything is also very difficult. And even in our Sangha also, we have many people saying that Gurudev spoke everything, after him, before him, no one can beat him. It's not like that. It cannot be like that. And this is not a sign of Guru Nishtha. This is a sign of foolishness. Because Gurudev would never like to hear that about himself, that he has spoken everything. The same thing someone say also about Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. But this is not true. It can never be true. Just after Srila Gurudev left Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he himself was revealing many new things that Gurudev didn't yet reveal. And that same thing happened with Srila Gurudev. When Srila Swami Maharaj, he left, he also revealed many things which he didn't reveal before. But it is natural to be like that. Every acharya is complementing each other. And also it has to do with the historical context in which they are living and preaching. Like, can you imagine if Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would be present today, and someone compares his Harikatha with a very rasik katha from some type of very professional speaker, Bhagavatam speaker, and Srila Prabhupada establishing Deva Varnashram Dharma. They would say, oh, Srila Prabhupada, he's not rasik at all. He does not know anything about Rasakatha. He's not in the group of gopis, because we are just comparing his historical katha. But it's not like so. He prepared everything. He prepared the field, and then his disciples came, both in India and in the West. They also prepared even more. And then our Srila Gurudev came, and then Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj came, and so many others came, and they could add more. And they could add more. And in future, others will come. In the present, others are there and they're adding more. There always will be something to add. Okay? There is a little bit more to finish this chapter. I think we should, Prabhu, because it's just more like maybe 10 minutes, and then it will be good for us to complete this verse altogether. So this is the direct meaning of this 9th verse. Okay? So, as spoken by the gopis, whose mood is submissive. Okay, so Srila Gurudeva, he explained that. The meaning of the gopis with a contrary mood, Bhamya Bhav, who express themselves indirectly is as follows. When we directly hear the kata you speak, now they are actually referring to this kata of what Krishna is speaking, not speaking about Krishna. This is the difference. It is so wonderful that all distresses and calamities disappear from our lives. At that time, it is far superior to the Amrita of heaven and liberation. On the other hand, if you are not present, that kata becomes deadly. Means you are not present, whatever you could say is also not present. In the sunshine, the lotus in the lake blossoms and spreads its fragrance, whereas the lotus that is out of the water will wither and shrivel. Accordingly, the gopis are telling Krishna, if you are personally telling us Harikatha, it tastes sweeter than nectar. On the other hand, to hear it from someone else simply causes us pain. It reminds us of you, and thus it is mrita, means deadly, because it increases the blazing fire of separation. It is like throwing a few drops of water in a pot of burning oil, which makes the flames soar upward. Kavi Viriditam. Why then do the Puranas say that Harikatha is like Amrita? According to these gopis, the nature of kavis or scholarly poets is to deliberately embellish in this way. Instead of saying, the horse is running, a poet will say, the horse is flying through the air. By his poetic speech, he attributes a particular virtue to one who does not have it. He is such a scholar, he is like Brihaspati, the priest of the demigods, or he is as strong as Hanuman. Means what the gopis are saying here is like, actually, the people are increasing, the glories of Krishna Katha unnecessarily. People know, so the Puranas are unnecessarily increasing the glories of Katha. Katha is not that much. Krishna Katha is not that much. Does not give life at all. So these are just like alankars, like ornamentation, like poetic ornamentation, which makes the writer like write in like a surrealistic way, out of reality. Horse is flying in the sky. Horse is not flying, it can't fly, but because it was running so fast, for the poet, it becomes like that. It was like flying in the air. So in same way, they're just exaggerating the glories of Krishna. It's not so much, the gopis say. Means Radharani's side gopis are saying like that. The gopis argue, we are always speaking Harikatha. So if it really possesses the qualities of Amrita, why do we feel intense anguish without respite in our separation from you? We have left our homes and our husbands and all our possessions for you. And now we are roaming like beggars and continually weeping. But there is no one to remove our tears. Next is Kalmashapaham. The poets have said that Harikatha drives away all kinds of sinful reactions and inauspiciousness, including ignorance. But we are evidence to the contrary. We must have performed extremely sinful activities to be so tormented. But that torment is not removed by your Harikatha. Tonight, we are roaming here and there, sobbing bitterly, for you have left us and vanished from our sight. We can thus understand that the nectar of your katha is not kalmashapaham, rather, it gives kalmash. Hmm. Everyone says that the nectar of your katha is Shravana Mangalam, meaning that it is very sweet to hear and that it brings all auspiciousness. But we do not feel like this. We do not have any experience of it giving auspiciousness. We are always discussing your whereabouts, your dancing, your beauty, and your qualities. We have spoken and heard so much Krishna Katha, yet our lives are devoid of auspiciousness. If hearing Harikatha is auspicious, you would have come to meet with us. Next is Burida. Da means giving, but it can also mean savored. Mm. Hence, Burida means giving good fortune and also savoring good fortune. Mm. The anguished gopis say, we have seen what happens to those who hear your katha, your Krishna katha. We have considered this deeply and have come to the conclusion that those who speak Harikatha have caused all our good fortune to be savored. They have disturbed and spoiled our lives. The gopis then explain to Krishna how this happens. Srimad Atatam. Those who spread Harikatha all over the world are Sri Mada. This word is composed of two syllables, Shri and Mad. The last A in Mad combines with the first A in Atatam. Shri means wealth and opulence, and the Mad means intoxication. Hmm. The gopis say the wealthy become intoxicated, means um, the rich people, unlike the wealthy, become intoxicated as if drunk on alcohol, and then they become rogues and rascals, killing everyone in the world for no reason. They act in this way even though they gain nothing, with the aim of whimsically killing everyone for no benefit to themselves. These rogues and rascals summon speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam and promise to give them as much wealth as they want. Just propagate the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, they say. Go from village to village, door to door. Speak such topics that people will abandon all they possess, their spouses, their fathers and mothers, their children, their wealth, and all material happiness. Let them become street beggars and die miserably. These speakers travel throughout the world. They go everywhere, from town to town, saying, we do not want anything from you. Just chant Hare Krishna and hear this katha. In this way, they spoil everyone's lives. They are hunters and killers of mankind and are certainly burida, meaning they cause the death of those who hear them by destroying their happiness and ruining their lives. In the future, Krishna will leave Vrindavan to reside in Dwaraka. At that time, Srimati Radhika will again speak like this, saying, Yadanucharita lila karna piyusha viprut, sakridadana vidutta dvandva dharma vinashta, sapadi griha kutumbam dinam ustrijadina, bahava iha vihanga bhikshu charam charanti. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 47-18. To hear about the pastimes that Krishna regularly performs is nectar for the ears. For those who relish just a simple drop of that nectar, even once, their dedication to material duality is ruined. Many such persons have suddenly given up their wretched homes and families, and themselves becoming wretched, traveled here to Vrindavan, to wander about like birds, begging for their living. It is a fact that those who hear Krishna Katha from the right source will eventually leave their homes, families, and everything they possess. They become like birds, living in the shade of a different tree each day. They roam about in Vrindavan with no possessions, like street beggars, weeping. They drink water from the Yamuna river from their cupped hands because they have no water pot. They chant Hare Krishna, and weep. They do not take food at regular intervals, so they become thin and frail. After hearing Harikatha, they are reduced to this condition, no matter what position they previously held in society, be it a prince or anything else. The gopis conclude, no one should hear Krishna Katha. The only reason we are discussing it is that we cannot stop. So the gopis, they speak like this to beseech Krishna to return to them. Means they're making like a drama, to Krishna. They're telling Krishna, Krishna, we will die, please come back. So they say, please come here at once. If you do not come, we will die. And if we die, everyone will criticize you. They will say, Krishna is cruel. He's not even slightly kind-hearted. Those poor gopis were weeping, but still he did not go to them. Only the gopis dare to speak or even think like this, and only their followers can appreciate their words. It seems that they are blaspheming Harikatha as well as those who preach it. But this is not so. Actually, their speech employs a literary device called Vyajastuti, or praise in disguise. In this literary ornament was also later employed by Srila Rupa Goswami in his writings. In this way, they are not actually being critical. Rather, their ironic words carry more ambrosia than ordinary straightforward praise. So, in other words, this is another way of being submissive, because you can see that they are all submissive to Krishna somehow, because they are not going to just leave Krishna forever. They cannot do it. So even those who are in the group of Radha and Bhamya Bhav, they are speaking in a contrary way, but that is another way of praising. And Krishna, he likes that. Krishna is immeasurably pleased by their words and thinks, if I do not bring myself before them, it will be an insult of my part. This is the explanation of Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, and Srila Jiva Goswami has elucidated on this verse in a similar way in his Vaishnava Toshani. During the Ratha Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri, King Pratraparudra recited Gopi-gita to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he uttered this verse, which glorifies Harikatha, Mahaprabhu immediately remembered Rasa Lila and became most ecstatic. Mahaprabhu remembered both the above meanings as well as every other aspect of this verse. So Srila Gurudeva says there are other aspects, not only these two. And actually many times in this book, Srila Gurudeva, he says that there are many different meanings, not only these two meanings, okay? We can only mentally contemplate these explanations, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose sentiments are those of Srimati Radhika, could actually experience them. He was really seeing Krishna in his heart and feeling separation from him. And Krishna also gave Mahaprabhu his darshan. Mahaprabhu embraced the king, who then became a recipient of his mercy. So in this way, we finish the verse number 9. Hare Krishna.